and welcome to Samvaad at Ankuran. Today we are in conversation with a very special person. She is a doctor, she's a critical care consultant and physician. Our guest today is Dr. Swapna. Welcome to Samvaad, Dr. Swapna.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure and honor.
It's a privilege to have you here, and we hope that this conversation is going to make people realize what a great job you're doing every day for all of us. A word about Arunima Ankuran. Arunima Ankuran is an initiative for positive social change through self-development. The goal is greater well-being and happiness for all. At Arunima Ankuran, we believe that each person is unique and special in some way, that each person can make a difference, that each person can have an impact, and that's what keeps us going, that's what inspires us.
Yes. I mean, it's a wonderful initiative, I must say, and I must compliment, really.
Thank you. Thank you. The chapter you're learning today is going to save someone's life tomorrow. Pay attention. Imagine coming out of the ICU telling them their loved one is safe and out of danger. So I think it's very difficult for us to imagine that what we are studying could be a life changing thing for somebody. It could mean the difference between life and death. So a truly amazing doctor is hard to find and impossible to forget. So it's an honor and privilege to have one such doctor with us here today.
Thanks a
Extremely,
lot once again. Thank you.
extremely delighted to have you here, Dr. Swapna.
Yes,
Let us
ma'am. The
start.
feeling is mutual. Yes.
Let us start with the beginning of your journey as a doctor. What inspired you to become one, and how it has been?
Right. So, right from the beginning, very honestly, I did not want to become a doctor initially. I was more into literature, as you know. So I wanted to pursue literature. But my parents belong to science background and we have always been discussing. And it was mainly my grandfather who somehow felt that I had that one spark or, that one thing which will make me a great doctor. And with that thought, then I decided to pursue my medical career. Of course, I was, by God's grace, I got good marks in both the faculties, as in biology as well as maths. But then, because of this thought, which my grandfather believed in, and I believed in him a lot, so I pursued my medical career. And as I got into it, I realized that he was right, and I started enjoying what I was studying and wanted to do more and more, pursue it better and in a better and better way. So that's how it all started. And then I finally, eventually, after my MBBS, which is from Government Medical College, Nagpur, I did my post graduation in medicine from Bangalore and further super specialization in critical care as well from Bangalore. So when I was doing my post graduation, I realized the nuances when you start handling the patients. You realize how important it is to, take timely decisions, or rather anticipate the problems which can happen or which can lead to dreadful consequences. This is what I started realizing, and more as I was pursuing my post graduation, I understood the smaller nuances better. And that is when I developed my interest in and inclination towards critical care. So from medicine, I started developing my inclination to critical care, knowing that it's going to be very, very demanding, very, very grueling, and sometimes a life-changing decision needs to be taken, wherein the patient, whenever patient has to be saved from a difficult disease. So this is how it all began, and I was fortunate enough to have wonderful teachers as my guides, as my mentors, who guided me in the right direction, and that made me choose right institutes, right courses needed for this particular specialization. And then further, when I was doing my critical care, I developed interest in one more advanced modality, which is called as ECMO. Now, this ECMO is a complex modality, which is the full form is extracorporeal membrane oxygenation. Um, to tell it in a simplified way, it is just when your lungs fail and even the ventilator does not work. This machine comes into play, and it has one oxygenation machine which actually purifies your blood. One of the cannulas, there are two cannulas, and one of the cannulas pulls out all the deoxygenated or the bad blood. And
Mm-hmm.
this via this machine, the bad blood gets oxygenated and purified, and
Mm-hmm.
then through another cannula, it is reinstilled in the body. So this is what is this ECMO modality is all about. So I developed an interest when I was dealing with swine flu patients, and then further I went to Germany to pursue a course in this, and now I'm a certified ECMO consultant as well. So
Beautiful. This is so good
this
to
is
hear.
all.
This is so good to hear and so amazing. And actually, I'm now curious to know, your grandfather saw a spark in you, and later you realized, now that you've been a doctor for more than a decade, Swapna, what is
Yes.
spark? What is the spark so that any aspirants who are listening into what we are talking about can identify theirs?
Yeah. See, one is your inclination to do hard work. If you're willing to do hard work, see, any profession, whichever you choose, requires hard work undoubtedly, dedication undoubtedly. But here, this is one profession where you just cannot afford to give up, whatever is the situation. There are times when you feel down, where your patient is not doing well, you've slogged for to save that particular patient for hours and hours or even weeks together,
Mhm.
yet the end result might not be positive. Still you are not supposed to give up. You cannot afford to give up. There is no chance for a single negative emotion in critical care. In fact, I'm saying this, it might sound like what do you say, antithesis or irony, as they say, but because we are surrounded by all sorts of sick, critical, serious patients, but I would still say, if you have that thing where you cannot give up despite the consequences, despite whatever is the outcome, then you should pursue critical care for sure. It is demanding, undoubtedly, but then we know people who are into critical care wholeheartedly, we know how much we love the job, despite all the negative consequences as well. That one smile, that one patient who goes home after all this ordeal, उस एक स्माइल के लिए हम कर सकते हैं. I can say that.
And
Yeah.
I think, that beautiful smile which dances on Dr. Swapna's face is the result of
Yeah,
so many blessings that must be coming through.
God's grace.
So, when we say critical care, of course,
Yeah.
it's a very specialized area. But for the lay person, what exactly is it that you're involved in doing?
Right. So when I talk about critical care, what we do is we are dealing with very, very sick patients. When I say sick patients, it can be, his oxygen level might be low, his blood pressure might be low or extremely high, or he
Mhm,
must be having either a kidney failure or one of the important major organs would be damaged.
mhm,
So all these patients come under, or even heart attack patients.
mhm,
I mean, you know how serious these diseases are. So any serious disease which demands continuous monitoring and continuous intervention if needed, those patients are kept in ICU.
mhm,
Normal fever patients जिनका blood pressure ठीक है, whose heart rate is fine, whose oxygen levels are okay, they need not be kept in ICU or a critical care unit. Any patient who requires monitoring, regular beat to beat monitoring, because there is some organ dysfunction going on, those
mhm,
patients are admitted to critical care.
mhm,
So अगर आप, if you come across anybody who you feel that patient is his blood pressure is not okay or his heartbeat are very high or very, very low, I
mhm,
mean, vigilant people do identify that, and you can make out. So those patients should be rushed to emergency department because something definitely is wrong with them
mhm.
without delay.
Once they come to you, you're obviously, taking care and doing things. What are some of those experiences that keep you going? Can you share some of these stories with us?
Sure. I would love to share one of my stories. I call that a life-changing experience. Well, there was this young girl, around 23-year-old. She was a dentist. She got operated for a minor knee problem, I'm sorry, ankle problem. And she was nowhere in the vicinity of ICU. She was doing comfortably well in her
Mm.
ward room. It was my birthday, and I was finishing my work. I gave my handover to my assistants, and I was leaving the premises of hospital. Suddenly, I got a call, and in fact, that call was one of for my registrars, but I picked it up because she was having lunch. And the nurse was frantic. She said, "Something is not okay with one of the patients here. Can you just come?" And I said, "Okay." So I told my registrar, "You finish your lunch, I'll go and see." And there I go. This girl was undergoing physiotherapy. She was doing some walking exercise and she had collapsed there. 23-year-old dentist. She had collapsed. When I saw her, she was not breathing well. I could not feel her pulse well. It was a
Mhm.
weak pulse. And I rushed her to the ICU. We put her on bed. Before I could, assess what's happening, her heart stopped. 23-year-old dentist. And then we started our routine cardiac massage, what we call as cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR, those massage, and everything, whatever is according to the protocol needs to be done was done. 10 minutes, no pulse. 15 minutes, no pulse. We had by that time already taken her on ventilator, everything was done. 20 minutes, no pulse. Her relative, her uncle was standing right in front of me. He was like, "Ma'am, kuch kariye." Obviously, 23-year-old without any problems had just collapsed.
Mm.
30 minutes, no pulse. The pulse was just coming and going.
Mm.
And we just went on. There were times when my assistants looked up to me and said, "Ma'am, it's all gone, done. Let's not really fight." But we just kept on going. After exactly 1 hour or so, the pulse came back
Mhm.
and her heart started beating. Till then, continuously, we were just pumping and pumping
Mm.
and giving medications. And then I said, "Okay, there is some ray of hope, whatever." पता था कि शायद she might not just survive or anything, but let's do it. Then we hiked up the medications, and when we investigated, we found that she had a blood clot stuck in one of the arteries of her heart, which had probably dislodged from her leg.
Oh.
So what we call as pulmonary embolism. Whenever it just stops the circulation. When you have a clot in the right side of the heart, there is no forward circulation, so the heart stops. And that's what had happened exactly. So we immediately gave medications to dissolve that clot, and all these things were done. Her pulse came back, her blood pressure came back, but we were not sure about the brain, because 1 hour of circulatory arrest, and we know 3 minutes is all it requires for the brain damage. So we were not sure. I said, "Chalo, theek hai, let's go on." Somehow me and my team were pretty positive, and we continued, and her blood pressure, everything started regularizing. She needed dialysis because her kidneys had got shut down. That also we did, but still I was not sure of the brain. And next day we got her a tracheostomy done, as in there is a direct hole in the windpipe whenever patient requires ventilator for longer period. So that also was done. And 2 days over, there was no response. We just decided, let us assess her neurologically. Every day I has to go and wake her up, and she never woke up. And on the let's say after 48 hours roughly, I just decided, okay, let me go and see again. And I just called her name, I woke her up. She opened her eyes, but I was still not sure whether she's going to respond. So I said, "If you can hear me, just nod your head."
Mm.
And we, with all the bated breath, we waited whether she nods or not. She nodded.
Wow.
She nodded her head. And eventually, she recovered well. Her tracheostomy tube was taken off. She's doing absolutely fine. She was discharged. Today, she has even topped in one of her exams, post graduation exams. So I just call this my life changing experience. So as I said, never give up. This is what it is, and it was so overwhelming to see that. It's just that it was God's will that I should go and see the patient, bring her, and everything else followed. But it
Mhm.
was a difficult task. I was really not sure whether, but then we never gave up. Said,
Mhm.
"ठीक है, whatever it is, let's see, let's give it a fight. If she's come back, let's give it a fight." And she managed to survive. This is one story, and eventually she got to know that it was my birthday. I was there for the whole day, and every year, every birthday, she comes or she calls up. She makes it a point to call me or visit me, and it's a very 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 gratifying and humbling experience. Believe me. So these are little small stories, anecdotes which have really gotten etched in our minds, and they just don't let us give up, and we don't. Yeah.
So they say that God is, could not be everywhere. So he made mothers, he made doctors, and now that the doctor is saying, thank God. So what is the
No, I
equation?
firmly believe that there is only one and one God only. There is no doubt about it. We are all just mediators. We are here to do our job. Rest all is His thing. Will absolutely. I completely believe that.
Or how else would you explain that her brain was,
Absolutely.
for one
Yes,
hour?
I mean, I was not sure, but yes, things happen. No, debacles, जितने debacles होते हैं उतने miracles भी हो सकते हैं, provided you don't give up, है ना?
That is the
Yeah.
human spirit. And I think that is probably the spark which Dr. Swapna has in her, not to give up, So this is so beautiful, Sapna. When you first started studying medicine, there must have been those moments when you were doing something for the first time.
Oh,
So talk to us
yes.
about that experience.
Well, though of course there were many moments, as they say, there's first time for everything. When we
Mhm.
started doing little procedures like putting IV lines, or even for that matter, taking blood pressure,
Mhm.
little things, smaller procedures or decision makings. Yes, definitely, it is. I would say a bit intimidating, and rather you feel more and more responsible because you're extra careful, because it's about life and death. It's about somebody's health,
Mhm.
which is even more difficult. But as they say, once you start getting into the thing, those initial scary moments have been there, and we cherish those. And it's like if you gel with the entire department, things become easier. It's not like if you treat
Mhm.
all the co-workers at par. I have learned most of my little procedures from staff nurses, and I completely respect that,
Mhm.
because this is how it starts, because this is how they help you out. And so it's important to treat everyone at one level as a team.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's not like I'm a doctor, you're a nurse, and your housekeeping. No, everyone is equally important, and I truly believe that. And when you have such a fantastic camaraderie with your people, your team, then slowly that fear, that it starts elevating. It
Mhm.
just so it starts sinking in, and eventually आप practice करते रहते हो. You learn, you err, you learn, you falter, you learn. So that's how it is. You just keep learning. And as I always say, I am a student for life. So anything I learn, I just learn from every small thing. So it eventually things fall in place. But yes, those were scary moments, are there very well etched in mind again.
Mhm.
And we now look back and cherish those things कि चलो वो भी दिन थे जहां हम सीखे थे.
Mhm.
And when we remember, then when we look at our juniors, we realize, okay, all they need is थोड़ा सा हौसले की जरूरत है. They're also going to
Mhm.
do well for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So you had a good number of people who taught you, your teachers. So who are some of those
absolutely.
teachers you're still looking up to because guru ki jo category hoti hai na, some teachers fit into that. So talk to us about the gurus in your life.
Yeah, let me tell you, I am in touch with most of my gurus, and all of them, right from school to college to my post graduation to my super specialization. So I have had wonderful teachers. I mean, it's only and only because I have had such fantastic mentors that I can today proudly say that I know the subject, what I'm dealing with. I know my job, and I love my job immensely. So I've had I would like to mention few of my teachers. One was my English teacher from school.
Mm-hmm.
Her name is Rajeshwari teacher. She always used to push me,
Mm-hmm.
and she's one of the reasons why I write. जो भी थोड़ा बहुत लिख लेती हूँ, it's because
बहुत
of
अच्छा
her.
लिखा. हाँ.
So, So she was one of my mentors in school life. Then there was one more teacher who was my science teacher, Vijaya ma'am. She was also wonderful, and both of them used to, encourage a lot. I was a good student, hardworking student, but they were very strict and they demanded perfection. So somehow वो एक 15 तक आप पहुंच जाते हो, लेकिन 20 में से 15 तो मिल जाते हैं आराम से, लेकिन वो 15 से 20 का सफर डिफिकल्ट होता है. So that journey they sort of maneuvered so well. And then when I was in college, I had few fantastic professors who were there keeping us on the edge. Again, similar thing, especially when we used to be scared कि हो नहीं पाएगा, such a vast syllabus. And when you're in first year of MBBS, you really don't understand how is it going to go, how are you going to cope up with. So that's when you require some words of courage, wisdom, and even how to keep the faith. So that was fantastically done by a few of my professors. And when I went to post-graduation, my guide, my mentor, Dr. Naresh Bhatt, he was a phenomenal teacher and a fantastic human being. He was rock solid. There were times when he used to be annoyed with me, like, you're not doing anything with perfection. अगर कुछ भी आप मन लगा के नहीं करें, he used to walk out of the classes. He used to be like, no, I'm not taking your class. I'm not taking your presentation. So that strict he was. But I'm so glad that he was that strict. I'm so glad that he had that chabuk in his hand, that we could learn things perfectly. And we were so grounded because of that. It was not like कि चलो थोड़ा सा आ गया तो ठीक है. These people, and then my super specialization, Dr. Josh Chapo, he's my mentor for critical care. Same thing. So all of them, I would say that they not just taught us this subject, but they taught us certain values. And one of the most important value in that was to be grounded whatsoever, be humble. That was very, very important. And I learned that from all of them. And I think that is something which really helped me grow, because if you're not, that humility, if it is not there, then probably growth becomes a little difficult. It becomes stunted. That is what I feel. So that's how my teachers have been. And I still have few of them who keep teaching me when I'm in Nagpur. I have certain mentors who have been there and I'm in regular touch with them. So any difficult situation or a contract, they're always there.
What are some of the most challenging days in your life? What is a regular day and what is the really challenging kind of day? What is the maximum you've been working non-stop kind of? We hear these stories from doctors, but we just hear them. So, talking to somebody who's been through those experiences is a good option.
Right. So undoubtedly, without a doubt, COVID era has been the most difficult and most challenging, largely because I had to take care of the family and I had to take care of the patients both. And it was risky, scary at the same time, and very, very draining. There was one side, there were patients who could not be seen regularly. We were not able to touch them routinely, which we are otherwise habituated to. We were not able to treat them with all that, well-equipped situations, well-equipped places. Still, I would say that at our hospital, we managed to create almost all the amenities for these patients. But the most challenging part was wearing a PP and staying there for 4-5 hours relentlessly, where your goggles get foggy, you're all sweaty from inside, and you were there to you were needed to perform procedures,
Yes.
do things for patients. That was really, really taxing. And to keep up with that spirit, another important thing which I felt was to keep the spirits of all the staff members, all your nursing staff, everyone around who's working up. It was very difficult because more than us, they were the ones who were dealing with little details, giving injections and monitoring them and all those things. So obviously they were also getting tired. There were times that, we couldn't eat, we couldn't go to the loo, we couldn't complain, We couldn't take medicines if we had some pain or anything of that sort. Nothing. So all we had to do was just wear that whole ensemble and take care of the patients, which was really, really taxing. So I think COVID era was difficult. And then there were times when I used to come back home late, and my family used to be worried. And all of us, I mean, all of us who have gone through COVID will relate to this, that how scared we used to be to meet our family.
Mm.
And our family used to be really, really concerned, not just about the risks, but because of these little problems like getting dehydrated, getting hypoglycemic, no food. So, and then apart from that, the mental stress, because patients were very sick, and especially the second wave, a
Mhm.
lot of young patients who passed away, who came late to us, and there was not much we could offer to. So that mental psychological trauma was also immense. So I think balancing all those things was the most difficult time of my life so far, I would say. But at the same time, I'd like to mention, and I often mention this, that it taught us a lot. It taught us a lot. I mean, looking at the brighter side, as I said, you cannot give up and always try to see the ray of hope.
Mm.
It taught us to value people, value family, value loved ones. There are times, as doctors, we are too busy. We are too busy with patients, and there are times when we go home late. We are not able to spend enough time with family and friends or loved ones. But this one particular era taught us that, no, they are also equally important, and you just cannot, because life is so uncertain. So yeah. And then my parents were also they also went through the COVID experience. I mean, they were COVID positive, both of them. So to deal with them as a doctor, as a mother, I mean, as a daughter, was a uh, was a very, very challenging phase.
So these are all superheroes, actually, people like you. So you just spoke about mental stress.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are certain specific coping strategies that people like you adopt in life, because that
Yes.
stress is not something that's one time, that's connected to the profession in which you are. Very often you will be encountering that kind of stress. So what are some of the
Absolutely.
strategies that you adopt?
Okay. So initially, when it was about stress management, I used to just take time off. Let's say I'm an early riser. I wake up at 5 o'clock or so. So that 1 hour, maybe 5 to 6, is for myself.
Mhm.
I would probably read or listen to music or do nothing. Just sit doing nothing. Not even think about what's my plan for the day, or what is my how am I going to plan it. Just be there, be still, try to be still.
Mhm.
This is what I was doing initially, and that is when writing I started writing, because I realized that writing was more like a catharsis, and it was more like meditation to me.
Mhm.
But I would like to mention that after this COVID, 2 years of COVID, I have gotten into some serious meditative practices, and I'm just a beginner, but still, I would like to mention that it has immensely helped me calm down. I have realized that that particular moment where you sit with yourself and try to not do anything much,
Mhm.
in real sense, be still and try to concentrate on actually nothing.
Mhm.
So that kind of a thing has helped me, and I'm really trying to pursue it now. I'm trying to learn it and develop it more. So, and it has definitely helped me calm down, because all these last 2 years have been so stressful that at times there were periods of so much of stress that I used to get irritable, I used to get upset, I used to cry, and which is natural, which is natural, given the fact that so many myriad of emotions were faced with. So yeah, I am now getting into that meditative mode very, very seriously, and I would really recommend that all of us should somewhere start whatever kind of meditation or whatever kind of a thing we like. There is no particular recommendation that aap yahi karo, but please do it.
Yes.
I was just reading recently, sitting quiet for 3 minutes also helps,
Mhm.
also changes lives. So I have realized that that. quietude and solitude and importance of stillness. And I'm trying to practice that of late.
So when people come to you, Swapna, most of the time, the patient, of course, needs care, but also the family, the friends, people who come along. What kind of experiences have you had, and how do you deal with that part?
Well, if you talk of experiences, there are a lot of them. I would not say bad or good. I would say they are, every experience is different. Because see, when you look from their point of view,
Mhm.
sometimes it might sound very offensive and offending the way they talk. The way they kind of say कि आप कुछ भी नहीं कर पा रहे हो, आप कुछ नहीं कर रहे हो, nothing is happening, nothing is working.
Yes,
But when
yes.
you, it is, and it is very taxing to listen to all such talks or statements. But then I try to put myself into their shoes and see how it is actually to be on the receiving end.
Hmm.
And then you realize that no, the emotional trauma is immense. Somebody, किसी का बहुत loved one, किसी का husband, किसी की wife, anything, you know, even a close friend. And if that person is not getting better somehow, obviously the psychological impact of that is going to be very, very hard on you and rather harsh on you. So that's when sometimes such unpleasantries come out of their mouths. But I think eventually every one of us have started or have learned to take it in the stride. We know that it's nothing, no grudge against us. It's basically the situation, which kind of makes them react this way. हम भी करते हैं react ना. We also react sometimes when the situation is not favorable or difficult, or you're clueless as to what's going to happen. We also tend to sometimes react. So that's exactly how they also react. But then sometimes it's good. The feeling is nice when somebody comes to you after discharge. As I said, this girl which I mentioned about earlier, when she comes to meet me, it's a divine feeling. It just feels so good. So मतलब दिल से जो खुशी होती है ना, that is वो बहुत अच्छा feeling होता है.
Hmm. Like
So
being the chosen one.
yeah, yeah, I mean, you might say that, yeah, but it's a nice feeling to see someone go home and then come smiling back to your OPD and saying that he's or she's doing fine. That's a very, very nice feeling. And I think gratitude is something that just flows in there. So, yeah.
So, of course, you're a trained professional dealing with the critical care patients. But before they come to you, patients are with lay people, you know.
Yes.
Any tips that you can share so that whatever needs to be done at that stage?
See, I would just say one thing. If you think that a person is not behaving normal, in any aspect you see, if he's not sounding normal to you, he's not comprehending well or whatever you're saying, and if he's been sick for a long time, let's say, or if you feel that he's sweating too much, or he's specifically saying, patients do tell this categorically कि मुझे सुबह से ठीक नहीं लग रहा है and now I'm feeling this chest pain or breathing difficulty. So do not ignore any abnormal symptom that a person says. Please
Hmm.
pay heed to it because your body definitely signals you before
Hmm.
something major happens.
Talk to
So
us
do
about
not,
those signals. What are some of the
yeah,
signals?
yeah. So, you might start suddenly feeling tired if you have any heart problems or anything, or if you're developing any heart problems, you suddenly might start feeling tired. जो 6 सीढ़ियां आप चढ़ सकते थे वो आप नहीं चढ़ पा रहे हो, आप
Hmm.
2 या 3 पे ही थक रहे हो. So
Hmm.
that's an alarming sign. If you've been having fever relentlessly, but not मतलब 101 100 से ऊपर चल रहा है 48 72 hours,
Hmm.
that's not a good sign. You just can't say that okay मैं पैरासिटामोल लेके ठीक हो जाऊंगा.
Hmm.
Please consult a doctor. Problem ये होता है कि we tend to hesitate at certain points. We feel कि नहीं manage कर लेंगे. So
Hmm.
that hesitation should go. I'm not saying every small thing you go to the doctor, but you definitely, as normal common people, we understand what is abnormal and what is alarming. So we know what is abnormal, what is alarming. So I think those signs should not be ignored. And anything abnormal than routine. Suddenly बहुत severe headache हो रहा है and you are not habituated to having headaches. before this, excruciating headache in the morning times, or suddenly कि control नहीं हो पा रहा है, please consult a doctor. That might not be a routine headache. So these are subtle signs which I think we tend to ignore. Every one of us does it. Yeah, I'm not saying any particular कि आप उसको ignore करता नहीं है, सब करते हैं. But if it gets after a point, if it persists, then do consult your doctor, definitely.
So, in addition to being a doctor, you're a poetess and you write so beautifully. So, where is that coming from, and how do you find the time to do that?
Uh, so I am a lover of hardcore lover of nature. So I find beauty in every small मतलब फूल पत्ते सब कुछ, and I love it. So I think one of the roots of my poetry comes from nature by मतलब काफी हद तक. And then when you talk about nature, you find rhythm in every small thing. Uh, Even if the raindrops or the rivers, or for that matter, even heartbeats, तो हर चीज में rhythm मिलता है. So that rhythm somehow captivates me, and that is how it has got ingrained in me, that rhythm, those little small things which make you. I don't know what is it called. I am a ardent lover of moon. There is a word for that, I forgot. So any sort of moon, half moon, full moon, wo chandrakor kehte, everything, I am just mesmerized. So all these little things inspire me. And as far as my time for writing, it's by and large during my work, whenever I'm taking a smaller break, because I feel most relaxed when I'm working. I feel connected. So that is when I start all these prose poetries take their first step from.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
So, maybe there are some students listening into us who are studying medicine. You know, what are some of the skill sets they should focus on? What are some of the attitudes they should try to build so that when they actually start practicing, they do a good job?
Yeah, sure. See, when it is about skills, certain things are very clear. I mean, should be very clear in life. मतलब छोटा मुंह बड़ी बात है, but I'd still like to say that, determination, dedication, these two things are a must as a student. They won't come easily because बच्चों नहीं समझ आता है. When we were also their age, हमें नहीं समझ आता था. But then if you can find some guide who will tell you how to pursue, how to persevere, that is one thing which you should learn. And another thing which I feel is define your goals. आपको क्या करना है? This I learned off late. मतलब in fact, defining certain things I have learned off late thanks to one of my friends. But yes, define what you want in life, plan, and determination to get it, and dedication. You have to be relentless. You have to be a go-getter. You just cannot say कि ठीक है अब यहाँ तक पहुंचे जाने देते हैं. And as I said, entire life there are only two things which one needs to imbibe in his or her mind. One is not giving up whatsoever. Once you're sure what you want, do not give up whatever it is. And gratitude for whatever you have. These two things, absolutely. So any students who are listening to this, it's my sincere, I would say, advice or a suggestion that learn how to be dedicated. And the first step is whatever thing you have taken in your hand, जो भी काम कर रहे हो, wholeheartedly करो, 100% डालो उसमें.
Yes.
100 से एक भी % कम नहीं होना चाहिए. 99 is also not acceptable. So when you put 100% in certain things, automatically dedication तो आ ही रहा है. When you've put 100% dedication in that, determination भी आता है, and the perseverance also follows. So without getting deviated, just put 100% effort in whatever you have. And that's what, when I say don't give up, that is what I mean. Just don't give up, whatever it is. There are going to be tough times. Obviously, this is life. It's not going to be a rose bed all the time. And be thankful for all the tough times that you encounter, because they make you strong. They teach you how not to give up. They reinforce the fact that don't give up.
Absolutely.
So I think that's what, if you can take home today, I think I'll be more than happy. And be very, very thankful to for each and everything that we've gotten. I mean, as I say, gratitude, as the famous saying goes, that gratitude should be the attitude. It should not be the one time thing. कि अच्छा सीख लिया फिर.
Mhm.
Gratitude has to be the attitude. Be thankful. I'm actually so immensely thankful that I'm talking to you today, and I met you the other day. Really, from the bottom of my heart, because it definitely makes a difference.
It's absolutely mutual. I'm
Yes,
equally grateful, not just grateful, I just feel that there is always a reason why we connect to somebody. There is,
absolutely, ma'am.
and that's what life is all about, connecting the dots and connecting with beautiful people. There's one other thing, Swapna. I've often thought about this, as a doctor, decision making is not just about yourself, it's about the life and death of some other person.
Yes.
How do you develop the ability to take a decision in that particular, there must be some kind of a practice that needs to be inculcated so that when once you take a decision, in that,
You can't go back.
yeah, you can't go back, plus you make the right one.
True. And you take the responsibility of it as well.
Absolutely,
So,
that's what.
well, when you are taught in medical college, they teach you in this particular pattern that, there are certain algorithms, there are certain protocols made for every disease. The reason being, right decision has to be taken at that time.
Yes,
So when
yes.
you learn for so many years, and for doctors, the education and the learning continues and continues. So for all these years, when you start following these particular, algorithm kind of a thing, you develop that kind of a thinking. You
Hmm.
start weighing, okay, this patient has this, and so this is ruled out, this is there, so out of this, what can be the possibilities? So
Hmm.
it's pretty algorithmic at times.
Hmm.
But yes, then there are certain times, there are certain situations where you have to just take a call whether this is right or wrong, or take a decision for that matter. At that time also, you learn, you by experience, by your medical college knowledge and teachings, you tend to arrive to a conclusion with solid justification. So it's not like ऐसे ही ले लिया कि मतलब decision वो तो possible ही नहीं है. So whatever the pattern of learning we have followed for years together, it is more or less on that algorithmic base. So we learn, we know what are we dealing with, we know what can be the pros and cons, we know at times a decision is risky because there are side effects also. So accordingly, we need to talk to the relatives. We have to tell them that now this is the situation and our patient is fitting in this particular situation where we have to take this decision, but knowing that this can backfire and have side effects also. So once you're through, you tell the pros and cons to the relatives, and then once they understand, they tend to tell you. At times they are okay with it, so we go ahead. If they're not okay with it, we stop there. So in the end, yeah, if you can justify what decision you're taking to yourself, I think then it is valid. And we are trained that way, I would say. We eventually develop that kind of thinking pattern also,
Hmm.
wherein you have to decide.
That degree of confidence probably comes from the training. So the
Yes, yes, it is. That's what I said. Whatever we have been taught, it's the training, actually. Training is the right word. That whatever we go through, and that is why probably we take so many years to get ourselves trained, because that finesse, that affirmation has to come.
so now, this is the final question. I just can go on talking to you, Swapna, but what is that uh, one or two things when you go home and when you're lying down, going off to sleep, that make you feel I'm doing the right thing and this is what I'm meant for? What kind of thoughts?
Every day I go to hospital, I have that rush, and I know I have that sense of belonging. So I know, okay, this is my place. This is like homecoming, apart her home away from home. And I totally believe in this. I completely feel that way. So when I go to hospital, when I see my patients, I have that feeling.
Hmm.
that okay, मैं घर आ गई हूँ and this
Hmm.
is what I want to do. You know how you feel when you're at home, despite the grueling routine that we go through. This sense of belonging is something that I'm very grateful for, and I know that I'm meant for this. I know there are at times difficult situations, circumstances, yet I know that I'm very sure, not just in my mind, in my heart also, I know I love my job. This is where I am meant to be. So this is one feeling when I'm talking about my work. And if I close my eyes before I close my eyes, another thing which I'm very, very immensely grateful, we all are, is our family, obviously. So and without them, I could not have pursued any of the things that I'm doing right now. It's the strong support from my family, from my husband, my daughter, and my mother-in-law, who just recently passed away. But she was one, pillar in my life who made me pursue my critical care in real sense. She took care of my 1 year old daughter and sent me
Hmm.
for my super specialization. My daughter was here and I was at Bangalore. It was all my mother-in-law who pushed me. She said, "You have to. You love it. You got to
Hmm.
do."
Hmm.
And I used to come back in 2 3 months, chutti leke aati thi, and I used to cry before I used to leave. Because it was used to be very difficult for me to leave 1.5 year old kid and go away. And she used to make me wake up at 6 o'clock. She used to push me out of the house saying, "एयरपोर्ट पे जाना है, 9 बजे का फ्लाइट है, लेकिन तुम 6 बजे निकलोगी, क्योंकि 7 o'clock your daughter will wake up and you will become emotional. I don't want that."
Hmm.
So I think, as I said, I forgot to mention in one of my mentors that my mother-in-law has been the biggest pillar in my life. Who does that? Who pushes someone so much? But she was the one, and she was one of the persons who was instrumental in getting me into writing. Again, she was the one who said, "You have this part. You keep me telling stories about your patients. Why don't you write?" I was not sure, but then it was she who made me do that, and today I'm writing. So I think these are few things: my family, my work, and yeah, I guess the rest all gratitude तो है ही, मतलब बाकी सब चीजों के लिए undoubtedly.
So, a big thank you, Swapna, for sharing your
Thank
story
you.
from the heart. It was so lovely talking to you. We wish you loads of luck and happiness, and keep doing the good work you're doing. I think
Thank you so much, ma'am.
the world
Thank
needs
you.
more folks like you. Brilliant doctors who are so dedicated. And sometimes, we are on the other side. We don't even realize it's not just one person that you are taking care of. You're taking care of so many people. What a huge amount of patience that takes. And I think there are times, when people are um, impolite to doctors, rude to doctors. So for all those situations, I think, I would like all of us to think about how challenging your job is. And spite of
Yeah.
that, the fact that you're smiling and talking about it with so much of satisfaction.
Yes.
All the very
Thank you so
best.
much.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
being
Thank
on
you
In
so much, ma'am,
Samvad.
for having me.
It was lovely
Yes.
talking.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.